Who's better, Kobe Bryant or Tim Duncan? First of all, no disrespect to either of these legends. We don't want to put them down in this video. This is purely just a debate.
We're not trying to take away from either player. They're both great. I do have Tim Duncan one spot above Kobe.
Tim Duncan can get a little overrated at times because he wasn't a popular player. It's no secret that Kobe was way more popular than Tim Duncan, which actually was a detriment to Kobe's career in comparison to Tim Duncan. Because Kobe was so popular, everyone remembers his collapses and when he didn't play well in a series. But because Tim Duncan wasn't popular, nobody remembers his meltdown. Like in 2011, when the first-seeded Spurs lost to the 8th-seeded Grizzlies in the first round, and in that series, he only averaged 13 points per game on below-average shooting for his standards. Another example is when people try to discredit Kobe's 2010 Finals MVP because he shot 41% from the field in that finals against Boston. But I never hear people trying to discredit Tim Duncan's Finals MVP against the Pistons in 2005, despite him, as a big, shooting 42% from the field in that series.
Duncan was a model of consistency, and he had a lot of players who stuck with him through his career. Kobe, when it came to different situations like we saw with Shaq or we saw through late in his career, always needed kind of that second big guy to push him to kind of win those championships. He needed a second player who was either as good or slightly better than him. In his first few championships, he was not the best player on his team. And I don't believe either of one of these players were the best player in the league at any single point in their careers.
You don't think when Kobe was averaging 35 points per game, he wasn't the best player in the league?
Didn't he not win the MVP that year?
Wilt didn't win MVP when he averaged 50 points per game.
No, okay.
You can be the best player in the league and not win MVP.
No, that's fair. I just think that Tim Duncan has the edge, especially with that extra finals MVP, the extra MVP, the way that he like handled himself throughout his career, avoiding all the adversity and avoiding all the noise that Kobe kind of, brought to himself with different scandals and with forcing teammates out and kind of having locker room problems. When it comes to just being like an NBA player that players wanted to play with, Tim Duncan was, always showed up, always was somebody who was there and kind of was always a plus to his team.
So you were talking about how Kobe always needed that second guy. In Kobe's prime, he was playing with the starters of Smush Parker and Kwame Brown.
Didn't he force Shaq out?
Maybe Shaq shouldn't have elected to wait until the offseason was over to get his surgery. He said, I'm just going to do it on company time. I don't blame Kobe for getting pissed off because of that. Tim Duncan, in his prime, played with Manu Ginobili, David Robinson, Tony Parker, and he had Kawhi Leonard late in his career. How can you compare, while they were in their primes, Manu Ginobili, David Robinson, Tony Parker, to Smush Parker, and Kwame Brown?
But Tim Duncan's rebounding, his defense, and kind of the different ways that he affected the game from there was kind of just surpassed Kobe's. And that defense also is something that pushed him past Kobe for my all-time ranking and kind of allowed him to kind of stand out a little bit more for me.
They were both great defenders. I would give Tim Duncan the edge, but offensively, you easily got to go Kobe over Tim Duncan.
I agree.
All right, cool. Yeah. I'm glad we both agree that Kobe Bryant is better. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed the video, maybe consider subscribing. It would really mean a lot to me. Or if you don't want to subscribe, maybe just like. That's fine.